Hello, Steve White, Steve White 89. Well, it's been a bit of news. Now, last year we had some serious fires in Australia. The whole country was on fire, it seemed, and the whole world was taking note because it was really bad. This year we seem to have floods. In Sydney, there have been days of floods so far, and I think this is getting worse. I haven't been following it too closely today because I got up very late and I had some work to do, and then I had to try and squeeze my Madonna 50th anniversary Rebel Heart videos I wanted to make in before 12, and I failed. I got 2 done before 12 but didn't get the second one uploaded. I just did the third one now around 1 a.m. I think it's 2 a.m. now? 1:39. But I saw a news item today I wanted to talk about because I'm really happy about it. Well, not happy about it, oh my god, that sounded bad, but I'm happy the way it, sort of how it ended. There's been a spree of attacks on Asian people, racist attacks on Asian people. Now, there's been a lot of it for the last year, ever since Donald Trump started up his whole China virus thing. And the whole point of that is to deflect away from the fact that he wasn't dealing with the virus and make someone else the bad guy, to create a villain, to take all the attention away from the MAGAs and other people, away from the fact that he wasn't handling it and wasn't doing a good job of it. So he made the Asian people the bad people. Now, I can understand blaming the Chinese government if they were experimenting on a virus and it got out, which is what some people speculated it was. As far as we know, it's natural. It occurred naturally, and it may not have even started in China. It picked up in China and got a foothold and spread, and the government didn't let people know soon enough. If you want to get on the government for that, that's fine. But to attack individual people in China, or Asian people in general, and to imply that somehow they caused it, it's their fault, or it's deliberate, just because the government kind of wanted to sort of hide it, because I don't know why, but they kind of wanted to hide it for a bit. They didn't really want to admit it was happening. I guess they didn't want to admit they had something out of control, or they were trying to stop panic or something, or I don't know what their thing was, but to blame the people, and then to blame in the country, and then to blame just Asian people in general all around the world is insane. And even just blaming the government's a bit irrational, because they still didn't do it deliberately. The thought was that they were experimenting. That's not how it happened. So this Asia virus thing that started has spread, and attacks on Asian people all around America went up 2,000%. It's gotten really bad. And this is the worst part, these gutless people were walking around shoving and attacking elderly Asian people. Why? Because, well, they're less likely to fight back, because they're cowards and they're gutless. And, you want to take on someone your own age who's Asian because you're racist, at least it's a fair fight physically. I mean, they shouldn't have to fight you because you're a racist idiot, but at least it's a fair fight. You push an 80-year-old guy down and he dies. I could deal with that when I saw that on the news. Now, this latest story went a bit better. There was an Asian lady, and this guy had already punched a couple of Asian people, at least one elderly Asian guy he punched. And he walked up and he punched this old lady. She was standing at the bus just waiting to go home. He punched her in the eye. Her eye was bleeding. But she, probably fearing further attack, just happened to see a piece of wood, picked it up and defended herself. And she beat the crap out of him. She put him in a stretcher. And I'm so happy. I know I shouldn't condone violence, but she was defending herself. She wasn't attacking this person out of racism or hatred. It was fear and defense, defending herself, self-defense. And yeah, so there was a news team nearby. They got there just afterwards as the ambulance arrived. And this guy's in it lying. I wish I had the footage. He's just lying on a stretcher. She's standing up. She's standing up and she's still holding her stick. And she's, yelling at him for what he did. And she's holding her eye and the medics are attending to her and she's standing up. He's lying down like a bitch in his bed with his arms up like this, like, oh, I'm hurt, oh man, crying. He was literally crying. And this little lady he just beat, 76 years old. They had reported she was 78, but she was 76. I think the man that was hit was 78. And she's standing up and she's she's a hero. And I'm really, it's sad because I hear now, she had that moment, she defended herself and she beat him, but she did it out of fear and now she's afraid to go out. So no one should be living like this. Elderly people shouldn't be living like this. Asian people shouldn't be living like this. I just don't to find out the history of racism in America against Asians was so much worse than I ever knew. There were lynchings not just of black people but of Asian people back in the day, and one of the biggest group lynchings was Asian people. I'm learning some of the history of that now. It's just really disturbing, and I can't believe... it just shows what a gutless piece of trash that guy was. He was 39, and he was going around beating up 70 and 80-year-old people who were racist because he's racist, because they're different races, because he was racist. And he's hitting them and attacking them because, frankly, he thought he could. He thought he'd get away with it. Well, he didn't get away with it. He's caught, he's in a hospital, and he's being charged. And I'm so proud of that little lady. I hope she gets past her fear, and I hope she can go out and live her life like normal without fear. She shouldn't have to deal with that. But I'm glad she fought back. I'm glad he ended up in the hospital. I don't have anything else to say about that. I saw it and I felt bad for her, but I was proud that she was a warrior. She stood up for herself. She beat him down. He was bigger, younger, stronger, but he ended up in a stretcher and she was on her feet. What more can you say? I just wish her well, because I'm assuming there's no permanent damage or anything with her eye. It was still bleeding. Was what I heard from, because her daughter reported to the news report that I was seeing how she was now. And I just hope in a short amount of time she's okay, and she seems like a pretty strong lady. I'm hoping that she'll be okay long run. But I just wanted to talk about that because I just thought it deserved a video, and I just still can't believe people are doing this. I don't understand racism. I don't get, you actually think you're better than someone else? Do you think your race is better than someone else's? Do you think you're somehow superior as a being or genetically or something? I get kind of classism and maybe thinking you're better than someone who went to a different school or so. I kind of get that. That at least makes some logical sense. But the idea that you think you're better as a human, your race, that somebody's race dictates their value as opposed to who they are as a person, or how they behave, or how they were raised, or who they basically are, not what they are by race, genetics. I don't get it. And whenever this stuff happens, it just baffles me. I just sort of want to be one more video, one more voice speaking out against it, instead of, I just don't know what else to say about that. I just want it to end. I never thought I'd ever see something like this happening in my society, because it's happening in Australia as well, not like that. We've had some vandalism of some restaurants and Asian venues and that, but I don't think anyone's been assaulted or anything here in Australia yet. I hope it hasn't happened and I just didn't see the news, because I don't want to sound ignorant, but as far as I know, it's mostly been vandalism. But there is some of that sentiment, because we have COVIDiots here and people who believe Trump and all the right-wing stuff, and it does trickle down into other Western societies and that, and we do have some Trumpism in Australia, and that's a bit scary. And I hope it goes away. I hope we go back to normal. But yeah, I just want to talk about it, and I have. So I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Yeah. End Asian hate.